The most important person in the whole wide world is you, and you hardly even know you. The most important person in the whole wide world is you. Come on, we'll show you. Let's find out more about the things you feel and do, 'cause you're the most important person in the world to you.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the next episode of One4ALLisLove presents Know Thyself, in which change begins within. And I am Sonya Spirit. So today we are going to talk about how to get started. So the question has been posed to me, yes, about the minds, and yes, we control our own thoughts and we manifest our own reality. But, how do you get started with trying to control your mind if you're not familiar with the process? And so I gave this a lot of thought. Needless to mention, I gave this a lot of thought. Because if you don't get started, then change will never come. Okay, so anyway, but so of course I really wanted to focus on like affirmations, meditations, moments of silence, prayers, and head-heart harmony. And all of that is critically important. But let's just say you want to dive in right now and do something. And affirmations, you got to, you want to write those down. You want those to be personal. You can start out with generic ones, or, they're common, but they're also effective. Or you can develop your own. You can develop your own. But that's an episode all unto itself, along with meditations and moments of silence, things like that. So if you're doing that, keep doing it. Keep that up. What I really want to focus in on today is thoughts, speech, language, emotions, attitudes, and actions, but on a personal level, as far as observing oneself. Okay? Because the thing is, we all have patterns. We all have cycles. And of course, that's one of the universal laws, the rhythm. Okay? So we all have our own rhythms, our own patterns. And it's difficult. It's kind of like writing a book and then you try to proofread your book. You can't, because you'll miss typos, you'll miss a lot of things because you're too familiar and you're too invested with the work. Okay, so I don't know where I was going with that, but anyway. What you want to do, or what I find that works for me, is you have to start observing yourself. Okay, so we already know that we're, spirit, soul, and body. And recognize that. And the soul, of course, has two of its own elements. It's got the thinking and the feeling. So, but observe those as like different entities. So what you want to do is start paying attention. Basically, they call it mindfulness. Okay, there's a lot of studies done on it, but, it's called mindfulness. And it's just, all it is being present in the moment. So, for example, you can do this on purpose if you try to spend time thinking about what kind of things race through your mind. Pretend like you're going to meditate. And try to steal your mind and see what kind of thoughts race through your mind. And write them down if you can, or as many as you can recall. And what you want to do is recognize which ones are productive or creative or generate growth, and which ones are living in the past, are fearful, are stifling, are are adverse, okay, and start correcting your own behavior. This is like, hey, physician, heal thyself. This is what this is all about. And that's what it means, because you are the one to heal yourself. Now, you can have all the help in the world, but at the end of the day, you'll have to make the change. That's why the change begins within. Everything you see outside of yourself is a reflection of inside yourself. That's what the second law is all about, the law of correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. Within, without. Without, within. So if you see outside yourself a lot of chaos or misery or unhappiness or fear or worry or stress or fret, if that's what's happening in your outer world, well, it's a manifestation of what's going on inside of your mind and your heart. Okay. So yes, you want to observe yourself is what it boils down to, and begin paying attention to your own thoughts, to your own language, to your own emotions, to your own actions. And it's funny because not long after, someone inquired about how to get started, it was like examples were just flying to me. I was just watching, I don't know, we were watching sports or we were talking about sports, whatever it was, and I said, we got robbed. And I thought about it. I was like, what a poor choice of words. And because it was in reference to the fact that I wanted to see a certain football game, but it wasn't being televised because of the market that I was in. And I was like, and I said, collectively as the market, we got robbed. And I thought about that. I was like, that's not an experience I want to have. Why would I even use those type of words? So immediately I caught myself after the fact. So I guess I didn't immediately catch myself, but as soon as it registered, I realized that was very poor language. And so then you do the exercise right then and there. Okay, you recognize that's very poor language, then what? Well, what could I have said, or what should I have said? And that took a long time, because it was more like, it wasn't even worth mentioning when it got down to how many words I needed to use. But it was like, I don't appreciate not having enough choices. But it was like every time I used a particular type of language, it was like I could see the adversity in it. And it was like, well, I don't want to welcome that either. So then I was like, is this even worth discussing? And the answer was like, no, not really. I mean, as far as trying to collect the words to paraphrase or positively spin what it was that I was trying to communicate. But the point being that we have to be mindful of our language. Because it wasn't too long after that, it was brought to my attention right after I said something. I said, this is killing me. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, it's not. I negate that. I immediately want to dissipate that energy. That's not going anywhere. Because I don't want to encourage that. So we have to be mindful of the type of language that we use. Because words do have energy. Now, of course, language is still secondary to thought. So now for me, it's easier to be mindful of language and emotions and if it's that way for you, then start there and then allow it to, once you get into the practice, you can start applying it to different, areas. Like that. Well, actions is usually the easiest because it's just an extension of everything else. It's just the end, like the physical world. It's just the end. It's the last action. But yeah, we have to be mindful of our thoughts first and foremost. But emotions are important too, because emotions are actually, in terms of energy, they're stronger than thoughts. Well, and actually they've done studies on it. It's called Heart Math Institute. And I think I posted something on my Facebook, but like the heart energy is 5,000 times more, I don't know, magnetic than than mind energy or thought energy. But of course, the heart, we all know, is the subconscious, which is spirit, God, the God in us. Okay. So, but I've said it before, it's all about, being the authority over our thoughts. That is not the end goal, but it is certainly an objective we want to, something we want to master quickly. But in order to master something, you have to practice. It's like everything else. In order to master something, you have to practice. You have to start. And even if it's bumpy, even if it hurts, even if you don't feel like it's working, endure. Endure. Even if you fall off the wagon, just get back on. It's never too late. Until you reach perfection, it's never too late. Okay. So we want to be cognizant of our thoughts. The thoughts become things. That's the process. That's what we discussed. Everything is consciousness. Everything is mental energy. Everything comes from the same source. So the all is mine. The all is one. Everything is consciousness, whatever you want to call it. And then the law of correspondence. It's the process. It's how everything is. It goes from one stage to another, from thought to thing. So we need to master our thoughts. Okay. So, but paying attention, so being mindful, being in the moment. And does that mean you're going to be in the moment all the time? No. Especially if, you have a 9 to 5 and it requires, and they require you to be in their moment when you're on the clock. No. However, and this is why meditation is so important. Meditation, moments of silence, prayer, affirmations. What that does, whether you do it for 1 minute, 10 minutes, or an hour, start your day. Set your table. Set the tone for your day. Even if you face adversities, imagine them being worse had you not meditated. And be thankful. And just be thankful for your experiences. Start looking at your experiences differently, even the adversities. Because they're only, as I've said before, restoring harmony. It's corrective action. Learn and grow. Think of it as a workshop. Learn and grow. That's all it is. We have to change the way we think, our perspective. Now, that's different, too. Not just what we think, but how we think. And that can be done instantly. But it's kind of like quitting smoking or quitting drinking. Some people can do it cold turkey. And some people need a support group. But it can be done. Okay. So, being mindful of thoughts. So, setting the table with meditation, being mindful of thoughts. Okay, so let's take a typical day. If you can only squeeze in 5 minutes of meditation, get up 5 minutes early, just go to the bathroom, somewhere where you can have some silence to yourself or some peace to yourself, even if it's just a water closet, whatever. But collect yourself. Now, if you have a whole thing going on, great, fantastic. I'm just talking about, this is for people who need to get started or want to get started and don't know how to get started and may not be ready for a whole ritual. So this is, hey, get started right where you are. And take, 2, 3, 5 minutes and just sit in as much silence as you can. Inhale deeply. Exhale slowly. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. And focus on something that brings you peace. Now, if you're doing heart-head harmony, Greg Brayton has some great words: appreciation, care, compassion, and gratitude. You can focus on things you want to indoctrinate into you, words that have beautiful energies, such as harmony, love, truth, wisdom. Repeat those. Whatever energy you want to bring to yourself, and not only just bring to yourself, if you could incorporate into your DNA, what words, what thoughts, what energy would you incorporate into your DNA? Think about that. Choose something. It can be a symbol. I use a symbol too. I have a symbol posted in a couple of areas that I know is speaking to my subconscious. And it helps me stay on track. Okay. So these are small things that you can do that doesn't require, leaving your house or a whole lot of effort, as far as like getting up, going to the gym, driving down the street, blah, 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 blah. These are things you can do in just a few moments while you're still at home before you begin your physical day. Like I said, take 2, 3, 5, 10 minutes. If you can do more, great. And center yourself into some peace. That's the meditation aspect. Now, when you're actually observing the mind, that's different, because that's when I want you to actually write down your thoughts. But try to center yourself into some peace. And like I've always had, trouble settling my mind. That's why I always pick certain words or a symbol to focus my energy on. Like I said, I recognize I'm a Gemini, which is, we have a very active mind, a very curious mind. Now, not to say that others don't, but it's a blessing and a curse, because at times I'll speak for myself, I'm easily distracted. Okay. So, but getting back to things to be cognizant of. So meditation sets the tone for the day, and you want to set the tone, okay? Go through the course of your morning like you always do. Spend one day, try not to, if you drive to work, or if you, commute and usually listen to the news or whatever, have some sort of distraction, try to refrain from entertaining that on a particular day. Especially if you're driving in your car. Refrain from listening to your favorite radio show, your favorite talk show, the news, the weather, whatever. That's a good time to think about the thoughts that cross your mind. 9 times out of 10, you may be thinking about either work or something that has happened. You're either thinking forward or you're thinking behind. But what you want to do is observe what you're thinking about. Now, of course, if you're driving, you can't write it down. But you're cognizant of it now, okay? And there might be a few thoughts. But you don't want to hold on to them, but you just kind of put them in your little mental Rolodex. But pay attention to what you're paying attention to. What is on your mind, literally. And when you think about the things that you're thinking about, do you find them to be helpful or more harmful? What would you be manifesting? You know, are you thinking about a past event, a situation where you did something wrong, or you think you could have handled it differently? Okay, that's fine. And do you think about how you could have handled it differently? Because once you make the corrective action in your mind, you should be able to move on. But generally, we think about the things where we perceive that someone else has done us wrong or unfairly. We've been unfairly treated, unjustly treated. And I'm not saying these are not real experiences, but they are your experiences, and they have occurred for a reason. What you want to do is extract the lesson from the experience and then discard the experience. Don't hang on to the experience. Don't hang on to the reaction, the resentment, the bitterness, the anger. The objective is to learn and grow. Learn and grow. So every experience that we have, let's be honest with ourselves. And also, let's forgive ourselves. Because the objective is to learn and grow. Remember, God emanates. God is always expanding. It is in our nature to expand, to grow. And whatever is cultivated in our minds and hearts takes shape in our reality. And those who share in the same experience. So change begins within. The easiest way, the fastest way, is to change your perspective. Now, it can happen quickly, but it will take work. Yes, there is a catch. Yes, you can do something cold turkey. And if your heart is behind it, it is not a problem. There are people who quit smoking, quit drinking, quit doing whatever it is that they felt that wasn't to their benefit and has never looked back, and that has been that on that. And I'm sure they had the total support of their heart. Now, for others, it may be more of a challenge. You can quit cold turkey, but it may be a struggle to stay on the wagon. And that's where perseverance takes place. You have to continue to forge ahead. Don't beat yourself up if you fall off the wagon, if you backslide. Don't beat yourself up. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. I shouldn't say don't beat yourself up, because part of this, in terms of language and speech, is not to use words that have negative connotations. like couldn't, shouldn't, can't, won't, don't, stuff like that. So yes, forgive yourself. Learn and grow. That's the perspective. Learn and grow. Remember, the subconscious doesn't know what's real and what's not. That's why you can watch a movie and you can cry from a scene. And it's an emotional cry. It's a sincere and genuine cry. Your subconscious doesn't know. It's a movie. It's not real. Why are you crying? That person's not real on the screen. That's not a real situation. Nope, that's not what subconscious says. It says, oh my gosh, this is so sad. Or heartbreaking, or whatever it is that you feel. Okay, so, yes, change begins within. Emotions and attitudes. Emotions are the heart. It's the heart. It's the emotional feeling versus the body's, the physical feeling was. Emotion is the spiritual feeling, soul feeling, the soul feeling. Okay, yes, the soul feeling. And emotion has energy, so that's how it works with God and the subconscious, is the energy that emotions emit is like the frequencies when we were talking about fear. Those have their own frequencies. That's the energy. When we are in those emotions, that's the type of energy, that's the frequency that we're operating on. And it shuts down other faculties. You know, you hard pressed to be creative when you're fearful, when you're afraid. You know, it's fight, freeze, and fight. Fight, freeze, and flight. Anyway, but yeah, so moving on. So the emotions has its own energy. Attitude, energy has emotions, attitude, all of that is the same. That's why, you know, it goes back to, like I said, old sayings and stuff, things that you do in the dark comes to light. How you feel, that's not something someone can see. You can camouflage that. So concealing one's feelings is something you would do in the dark. However, because everything that your head and heart conjointly, I know that's not a word, but anyway, jointly manifest. So you have to be cognizant of that energy, that attitude, because what you do in the dark, if it's not your true self, it will manifest itself in the physical presence. Okay, so that's why there's no hiding place. All right. And like I said, actions is the last component. That's usually just, you know, people just kind of following through lockstep, you know, indoctrination. At that point, it's, you know, if you got the energy of the thoughts and the language and the emotions, the actions is it's almost a given. Well, it is a given. That's what manifestation is. It's a given. That's what actions is. It's the manifestation of the other component. So, so start examining yourself. You know, even if you don't find yourself that you can take time to monitor your thoughts. I'm not ready for that yet. And I'm not saying that you're not capable of doing it, but you may struggle with it. You know, start paying attention to how things make you feel, for example. like I stopped watching the news a long time ago, just because it's always the worst of everything, except for that last 30-second story, the human feel-good story, or the human spirit story. But anyway, the other 29 minutes, however long the program is, it's just mentally not healthy for me. That's my disclaimer. It's mentally not healthy for me because it would trigger things, and I would feel a certain way. Now, it was good because then I became cognizant of how I felt about certain things, and especially when I knew that it should not have that type of effect on me. So now I'm paying attention to certain behaviors, or when I find myself in similar situations. Okay, I recognize this, and you start paying attention to yourself. Like I had mentioned, I don't know, a couple of episodes ago, whatever. I took a hypnotherapy, certification course. But the only patient I was interested in having was myself, because my whole thing is I want to understand myself. I'm so fascinated by being. If you just think about it from, think about it from a spiritual perspective or a soul perspective, especially when you recognize that you're not just a physical being. We've been given this definition of who we are, physically speaking. And when we buy into it, or, if you're still buying into it, but anyway, into it, I'm not going to go down that road, but, once you get past that, this is not who you are, or this is not all of who you are. Actually, it's not who you are. It's kind of what you look like right now. But so once you recognize that the physical being is not all of who you are, and then it's like, okay, well then, wow, what am I? And then you start delving into, okay, soul and spirit, and what's the difference between the two? And okay, so how does that work? And so you start asking questions, and that's why they said, it's not the answers, it's the questions. The answer, all the answers already, everything already exists. Remember, God is, was, and ever will be. Everything already exists. It's just a matter of drawing it present to you. So when we ask questions, we are attracting those answers. So for me, like I said, the fascination was, it wasn't like an aha moment. Mine is kind of like, I'm a little slow. So mine is more of a, slow transition, but it's still fascinating none the same, but it's so, you can't even describe the intensity when you realize, man, I am so much more than what I think of myself or even know about myself. And I am clueless as to how to function in this being. Once you discover, okay, this is my physical self, and this is, the body, and the body is important because it's all about experiences. The body is how we experience. We process, our five senses as well as emotional energy. So the body is important for experiencing, but it's still a tool to help us do what? Learn and grow. And, we could go down the political path about how energy is being manipulated. But that's why it's important to become the authority over your own entity. I love how in Fear, Jerry kept referring to the human beings as entities because that's what they are. They are physical entities. They are, so and physical entities. Anyway, so yes, we need to gain authority, maintain authority over our energy, our thoughts. Remember, I said our thoughts are malleable. They are influenced. They are shaped. We need to be cognizant of our speech and language. You kill me. We got robbed. I was just joking. Remember, the subconscious doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not. Now, if you emit different energy, then of course, it does know that. So it does sense that. It does feel that. But we still have to be cognizant of our language because words have their own energy. I once ruminated on why do so many English words sound the same but spelled differently? And it's because, letters have energy. But that's, like I said, that's a whole different episode. Okay, so be mindful of speech and language. But we're aware of this because there's plenty of studies that's been done about plants, about water, about rice, about babies. Listen, everything is picking up or reading energy. You may have known someone at some point in time in your life that you used to say gave off bad vibes or was like schleprock, had negative energy, just kind of Debbie Downer. So anyway, you have to be cognizant of your emotions and your attitude. And it's not to say to be phony, but when you find yourself in a position that you're not comfortable with or you don't like, then that's a conversation you want to have with yourself. Okay, it might not be appropriate at that point in time and place, but if something comes to your attention or grabs your attention or holds your attention, it's something you want to address later on. And I'm just throwing stuff out there. Like if you were sitting in a meeting and you wish you would have spoke up, but you didn't, well, okay, let's address that later on. Why didn't you speak up? And then you start dealing with whatever issues that you have, whatever issues we all have, and we all have them. But listen, the key is forgive yourself and forgive others. The sooner you can unload your baggage, the faster you can be at peace and connect with God and vibrate on a higher level. Like I said, you'll begin to notice that things that you would have reacted differently to in the past somehow don't have the same effect. And the problem hasn't changed. You recognize that from previous experiences. But what you may have noticed has changed is not only your attitude towards it, but your response to it. And when you start really paying attention, your own energy level. That's important. Okay. I'm sorry about the pregnant pauses, but anyway, it's important. It's important. And it's important to be mindful. So think about the relationships that you have just within your household. How do you, how do you interact with your significant other, your partner? How do you interact with your children if you have them? If they're in the house, if they're not in the house, how do you interact with your pet? And think about how things you think irritate you. Ask yourself why. Why does that irritate me? And you'll get the answer. The whole objective is we want our world to change. And change begins within. Like I said, it's the second law of correspondence. As without, so within. As within, so without. It's a reflection. Do you want to, it's not a matter of do you want to live in a world of chaos, because we're trying to raise our vibrational levels, live in oneness and harmony. We want to learn and grow, learn and grow, learn and grow. Okay. So basically, what we've discussed is kind of like think of yourself as three different people. A thinking consciousness, the five sensory processor, a soul spirit with the God power, emotional energy, emotional feelings, which helps us manifest what we are, the energy that we are entertaining, the thoughts that we are entertaining, the attitude. We are. We manifest what we are. And of course, the physical aspect of our being is the physical manifestation. What we are, Are we happy? Are we whole? Are we healthy? Are we at peace? Do we give love? Do we receive love? Are we understanding? Are we patient? Yeah, I'm really working on the patience one. But these are the questions that you want to ask yourself. How can I improve? How can I be a better person? If you're one of those people who break their arm, pat themselves on the back, then yes, you want to ask yourself how you can be a better person. How can you improve? Show me the way. And if you're someone who beats up on yourself, help me recognize all the good that I am and give more of that and be more of that. The strongest, statement, verse, I am that I am. I am is how we invoke God's power. I am. I am happy. I am sad. No, I feel happy. I feel sad. You want it to be a temporary state. Because remember, the law of rhythm, everything ebbs and flows. So if you are happy, then you will be sad until you learn how to master your energy. And we're not there yet. I'm certainly not there yet. I'm not speaking for anyone else. Okay, so be cognizant of things that you do. For example, comparisons. We make judgments. Comparison is good when it helps you to appreciate what you have. Because you are aware of situations that are worse than your own. So by comparison, you appreciate what you have. You appreciate where you are, right where you are, when you are, how you are. You appreciate what you have. That's when comparison is good. When is comparison bad? When we use other people to prop ourselves up. When we feel better about ourselves by putting someone else down. Judging. That's what judging is. I wouldn't do that. She should know better to carry herself that way. He must be losing his mind. Judgment statements. Accept people for what they are, where they are. It doesn't mean you have to agree with them or be around them, interact with them. And if you've been called on to help them, then so be it. But let's not judge other people, because remember, what we do unto others comes back to us. It's the boomerang effect. So if we're judging other people, we're criticizing them about this, that, or the other, that will come back to us. Either we'll be criticized for something that's probably taken out of context. We'll have the experience. There'll be a corrective action. So be mindful of that. That's what I'm talking about. Be mindful of that. Before you even say something. And I caught myself recently. I was going to make a comment, and it was just a joke. But then I thought about it. I was like, is this really necessary? No, it's not necessary, but it would have been funny for the moment. But who am I really entertaining? Showing off to myself, hey, look how clever you still are. Someone else will chuckle. That's what I mean by be honest with yourself. Okay, so, it might have been funny and at someone else's expense, but I'm already thinking about the energy that it's generating, and I don't even feel good about that, and I haven't even made the comment. So I already know it's going in the wrong direction. This is not the path I want to go down. I do not want to keep experiencing this, so let's move on. Let's not even let that one out. Let's dissipate that thought and use that energy for something more productive, creative, constructive. And that's what you kind of find yourself doing as you practice more. Now you're having these conversations with yourself. And that's really what you want to be doing to the point where it becomes more natural. That's because the subconscious has accepted that, hey, okay, we really are changing. Because remember, the subconscious understands repetition, iteration. That's why practice is so important. Practice, practice, practice. That's why I said if you fall off the wagon, get back on. Get back on. Don't beat yourself up. Don't feel bad about it. Recognize that it happened and get back on, because you got to get back into practicing. Like I said, 21 days make a habit? Challenge yourself, 21 days. Focus on something. Changing your language, observing your language. You know, some people are very methodical. They need to move slowly. Okay, so 21 days and just observe and record your language. But if you are someone who likes to move quicker, they'll spend a whole day observing their language and writing it down, and then spend the next 21 days on changing your words. So observing language, writing down language that you use that you don't like, and changing it. Like I said, try not to use words that not words. Try not to use words. Try using words that doesn't incorporate not language that does not words language that doesn't incorporate the word not. So that's usually a challenge. Or if you find yourself replaying a scenario or an event, ask the question, what am I supposed to learn from this? How do I grow from this experience? Because by focusing on the other person in whatever, situation you have replaying in your mind, it's not helping you to grow. It's only fostering more resentment, harboring more ill will, and that's not the direction that we want to go in. We're trying to get out of that hole. We're trying to let go of that sandbag. We're trying to put that behind us. So, and that's why forgiveness is important. But you want to know why you're forgiven. Some people need to know why they're forgiven. So how am I supposed to be learning and growing from this experience? Ask the questions. God always answers your subconscious, whoever spirit responds. When you start reasoning and rationalizing, you start reasoning and rationalizing, that's your conscious mind. When you second guess yourself, that's your conscious mind. Don't do that. Don't second guess yourself. Focus. Be diligent. If you fall off the wagon, get back on. Be mindful of your language. Be mindful of your language. Be mindful of your thoughts. Be mindful of your attitude. And probably something many of us don't do, particularly be mindful when you're around small children or if they're in the area. Because children, they operate a lot more on the subconscious than we know. They operate a lot more on energy and vibration. So how are you influencing or affecting or impacting the spirits of developing people. People. Because the soul are incarnations in different bodies. But it's the energy. Can you read your own energy? What vibe are you giving off? Do you come across as phony, sincere, genuine? And what about when you don't know what to feel or how to feel? You know, most people avoid like situations such as death, you know, or being in hospitals because they don't really know how to respond in that type of scenario. They might be concerned that their behavior or, you know, might be inappropriate and not just, you know, or, you know, people, you have to take into consideration, some people are concerned about how they're perceived. Other people, not so much. Okay. I think I have mumbled on quite a bit. But just to recap, affirmations, meditations, moments of silence, prayers, heart-head harmony, excellent practices. Start your day, whether it's 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour. You know, people say get into a habit, get into a routine, and that will come. I promise you, that will come. Because there are people who are methodical and regimented, and they have no problem getting into that groove. Some other people, more impulsive people, scattered brain people, anyway. But it'll come. It comes. So you start out and it sets the stage for your day, and that's what you want to do. You want to set the stage for your day. So when adversities do come your way, you can deal with them a whole lot better. And that's what you want to do. You want to start changing your energy slowly or quickly. But you want to start changing your energy, changing your attitude, changing the way you think, the way you feel, the way you speak, the way you respond. You don't always have to have the last word. You don't always have to be right. You don't even always have to be understood. That's just the way it is. And you may not always be. I'm sure I'm not always understood. It happens. Forgive yourself, forgive others, be it one. Like I said, meditate, set the stage, and then mindfulness, be present. Be as present as you can be. And then when you aren't, when you aren't, you just aren't. But anyway, so change begins within. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen and fellow souls, and thank you, universe, for the material and the direction and the guidance. I love everyone. I love me. I love you. And let's learn and grow together. All right, till next week. Enjoy yourself.